Making tortillas de maíz is not that intimidating. Corn tortillas are the base in Mexican gastronomy. For us, it's like our bread. But it happens very often. You go to a supermarket, you buy a package of tortillas, and they break, and they're a disaster. Let me show you some tips and tricks that I've learned over the last year of making my own tortillas at home, because I really miss them. If you can find a good quality tortilla from a tortilleria, from a tortilla maker, buy them. If not, you can also buy the masa from them, the dough, and you can just make your own tortillas. That would be always the best. If they nixtamalize their own corn, if they make it fresh, then do that. What the hell is nixtamalization, Manu? Nixtamalization is the process of cooking the corn in an alkaline water. And this helps, first of all, to remove the skins of the kernels. Then it allows our body to absorb all of the nutrients. And third, it allows us to form a dough that would actually be able to be pressed into a tortilla. Without nixtamal, we wouldn't be able to make tortillas. This is a very ancient process. Indigenous Mesoamericans were doing it with ashes and cooking the corn in there. I don't know, maybe they discovered it by accident, but this is what allowed our civilizations to survive such a long time on corn. How do we make tortillas with this? This is masa harina. It's basically a flour, but corn-based flour. What they do is they cook the corns, they nixtamalize them, then they dehydrate the corns again, and they grind them into a powder that then later you're gonna rehydrate in order to make the masa, the dough. Every single package of masa harina is different. Here I have two examples. Different corns, different ratios of water to the masa, and each one of the packages has their own instructions. The first tip is never to follow those instructions. Forget about them. Your weather is different, your humidity level is different, the water that you use is gonna be different. So you have to figure out what works for you in the situation where you're at. The second thing that you're gonna do is to understand how much you're gonna be using for future days. So let's start by weighing the masa. Let's do 250. And look, the people in Mexico, they do this with feeling. They already know how the masa should feel. They already know everything. Like, you don't have to weigh this once you get to that point. The next thing you're gonna need, and this is optional, some people do add it, some people don't, is salt. You can sprinkle a tiny bit of salt. Again, I know people that don't put salt into their masa, up to you. With the scale, we're gonna pour warm water, not boiling water, warm. Repeat with me, warm. It has to be warm that it doesn't burn your fingers. And I'm gonna go to the same amount or in weight that I did with the masa. And I'm gonna stop there. So I'm gonna do 250 grams. This is not gonna be enough water. Technique, I don't care about a technique, just like press it, turn it around, press it, combine the ingredients, start forming a bit this dough. If you're wondering if you can do this in a stand mixer, don't. Better to do it by hand. It's not that hard. You don't need to really knead a lot the dough. Plus, you need to have a feeling on your hands. What we're gonna do now is gonna continue to add water, but in small increments. Tortillas in Mexico, they're not necessarily only used for tacos. Like it's as if it would be our bread. You don't use bread just to make sandwiches. We use tortillas for many things. You can fry them, you can cut them, you can integrate it into dishes, you can thicken soups with tortillas. This is what we do for the tortilla soup. To get it thicker, you put it inside the blender, or you can also do it for example, to make pipianes. You put it inside the mix, you blend it together with the chiles and with the tomatoes. Pipianes are like these moles, like these sauces that we have in Mexico. Okay, so at this point, I've already added 3 times water. We're gonna press it in between our hands, and we're gonna see how much is cracking on the edges. If it's cracking a lot, that means that we still need more water. Roll it again as a ball, and I'm gonna do another test. I'm gonna put the thumb into it, and I wanna see that it sticks a bit, but not a lot, and that it doesn't crack so much on the edge. The masa should feel like a Play-Doh. Sticks a bit, it doesn't break much on the edges. This is way better. If you're making large batches and it's gonna take a long time, just cover it with a wet cloth. I personally don't like to roll the balls all at once because I find that they dry quicker than if I just have the entire thing. Have your pan, your comal, your griddle, whatever it is that you're using. I personally recommend, obviously I would love to have a comal, but there's no induction. But there are some griddles that are induction, that are non-stick, that work really well. And there's also, and I would also use just like a normal crepe pan or like something that is non-stick. In my opinion, those works the best. And you don't have to crank the heat so high. There are many presses, there are many tortilla presses around there. Like there's aluminum ones, there's wooden ones, there are cast iron ones, there's metal ones. There's a couple that are really good. There's ones that are commercial size, that are squared like this, and they have a big handle. Those are the ones that Mexicans use. If you see someone in the street in Mexico, they're like using these huge ones. Those are the best, they work really well. They're heavy duty, you can make like these big tortillas. For example, Hacienda sells some of them. I'm not sponsored by them, but they do like sell the ones that they bring from Oaxaca and they resell them. Not everywhere, but in the US at least they do. In my case, because I'm in Europe, I got a cast iron one. And this is very funny because the best one that I found so far is not even a Mexican tortilla press, actually a Colombian arepas press, which is this one. Heavy as hell, but it's very robust. And when I'm pressing them, you can feel that the handle is robust, that everything is good. So I really like this. I have another opinion about tortilla presses. I believe that your tortilla press should be bigger than the tortilla that you want to make. And I mean significantly bigger, a couple of centimeters bigger. And this has to do with the fact that you're not going to be pressing the tortilla on the edges, because sometimes these presses have a lot more pressure on the edge than they do on the center, and you have more chances to get a more even tortilla. The next thing that you're going to need is plastic. You're going to see a lot of Mexicans working in the street with these plastics. They're going to be putting these plastics in the tortilla press, and they're going to be putting the dough in between and pressing it. Why is this? Because if you do it directly here, you're going to get it stuck, and in the case of cast irons, you're going to rust them. I believe the thinnest, crappiest plastic works the best. This is literally like this garbage bag plastic. I just cut it in, I mean, it was clean. I just cut it into squares. But you can also try with thicker plastics, with Ziploc bags, with wax paper. I don't like that. I think this is really, truly the best. And you can just have it cut in squares, a little bit bigger than what you have a space here to work with. And that's it. You're gonna roll the masa into ping pong sized balls, a little bit like around 30 to 35 gram balls of masa. You're gonna put it in the middle of your press. You're gonna press it down, and then you're gonna cover it with the plastic again. You don't have to fully press it down, just a tiny bit. Just keep it there in the middle. You close the tortilla press, and here you need to understand your tortilla press. You don't have to go all the way to the end extremely hard. You don't have to be so gentle. Just understand how your tortilla press goes. You press it, you open it, and you see. Like you have different places where the tortilla press is obviously gonna have more pressure. You need to understand that. You need to see how your tortilla press is working, and you can always just flip it around or flip it to the other side and then just press it again. Thickness is up to you. I like them to be around 1.5 millimeters, like too precise. I'm not that precise. How do you unmount this tortilla? What you're gonna do is you're gonna place your hand on top of the tortilla, not in the middle, not under, a little bit like on the high point. With the other hand, you're gonna grab the plastic and you're just gonna lay it in your hand and pull the plastic out like this, and the tortilla is gonna be in your hand. Your pan, your comal, your griddle is already warm. You lay tortillas, you don't throw them, you lay them gently. We just leave the tortilla for 10 to 15 seconds until we get to the point that we can flip it around. We flip it to the other side. By the way, you don't put any oil, any butter, nothing on it. That's why non-stick works the best. Now, let it spin around on the other side. Now I'm gonna flip it for the last cooking. I'm gonna do 3 rounds, and then I'm gonna press the tortilla really well. You can also just grab a tiny cloth and just press it to let it cook. And then here comes another opinion. A lot of people like tortillas that puff, that they inflate, and they believe that it has to inflate, like for example, how this one is inflated in order to be a good tortilla. I don't think so. You can make great tortillas without puffing, but if you press now the edges, if you press the tortilla a bit, it's gonna have more tendencies to puff. And obviously the better the corn, the more chances they have to puff. So yeah, it might be like an indicator that you have like a better corn that is binding better, that was better nixtamalized. If I do this with a fresh masa that I get from the tortilleria, they always puff. With this powder masas, or these masarinas, not always, but you can get it to puff a bit. It's fully cooked now on both sides. You have a harder side and you have a softer side. And now we're gonna put it in our tortillero. This is very important. You leave the tortillas there, you close it, and this is gonna also help steam and make the tortillas a bit softer. And now we have tortillas! Yay! This thing is so warm. And obviously the first tortilla has to be un taco de sal, a salt taco. If you've been to a tortilleria in Mexico, you know that this is what you have to do. You see how the tortilla didn't break when I roll it? It has to do with two things. It's well hydrated, it's well cooked on the pan. Oh well, three things. And it's also nice and soft steamed. Mi amor. And to store them, you're gonna take them out of the tortillero and you need to let them cool down. Just doop, doop. With 250 grams, you're gonna get around 12 tortillas, 12 to 14 tortillas, depending on how big you make them. But I already ate them. So once they're cold, you're gonna grab a paper towel. You're gonna put them in the middle. You're gonna wrap them like this, wrap them, and then put them inside a Ziploc bag and into the fridge. Obviously, the longer they stay in the fridge, the harder they're gonna be, the more they're gonna break. Just try to eat them within the next 2 days. And if they get too hard, if they are not soft anymore for a taco, you can always just fry them for tortilla chips, for chilaquiles, for tostadas. Don't throw them away. They should last in your fridge around 1 week. And nope, they don't break. You see?